Here at the MLG Fall Championship in sunny Dallas, we have 1-0 for Najin Sword so far. This is going to determine who goes into the loser's bracket and who will face a Zubu Blaze in the winner's bracket finals.
Yeah, and like I said earlier at Champion Select, I want to see an aggressive TSM. They have Rengar to leap out of brushes. They have Tarek Dazzle. They have Dyrus on that Rumble, able to land Electro Harpoons. The bombs coming out from Zillion. And of course, Corki dealing a % true damage. Not a lot at early level 1, but still has a Phosphorus bomb to reveal in brushes and get AoE damage down. If TSM wants to be aggressive, this is probably one of the best comps I've seen for it from them.
Also, Odd One, if we take a look right now, he is running heavy AD runes, 76 starting AD, so he's going to be looking for those early ganks to maximize that advantage. We also have Mac Noon pulling a lot of magic penetration on his Malphite, running Magic Pen Reds and Quints, so he's probably going to be looking to get that early Seismic Shard and harass Dyrus's Rumble from outside Flame Spitter range.
TSM's bottom lane's got to be very careful. There's no early aggression from them in this game, much to my dismay. However, Najin Sword has grouped 4 members up in this bottom river brush. TSM has no idea it's there, and Chaos is left all by himself. If they go for this bottom lane, go for the double golems, Mac Noon is distracting up here, kind of towards the Wraith area. They're going to try to invade and take it away from him.
Reginald dropping an early time bomb onto the race to help Odd One out a little bit. We have an early invade from Najin Sword there. They're going to try and catch Rengar out on red.
Ooh, Xpecial actually going to wind up face checking the brush. Xpecial, no! You have to flash away. Exhaust is down, and First Blood going over to Nocturne. Odd One now having to use his own flash. Prey trying to chase after that one. Reginald comes down from mid lane, but Sans is going to put some layways down, try to chase him away from that one. Reggie not going to give that one up, though. They are going to wind up taking the red buff away. Kane getting extremely low ignites, not going to take him out. Karthus and Zillion in the meantime just continue to trade Qs back and forth as well as auto attacks, and that is TSM giving up First Blood.
And what a play there by Najin Sword. Now without red buff, that's going to really hamper Odd One's efforts on Rengar to gank early. They knew that he wanted to get those early ganks, and they just took him right out for the first couple of levels.
Yeah, now Nocturne actually going to be able to take this blue buff, potentially giving it away to Song early on. So that is going to be, an early blue buff donation to Karthus, letting him spam those spells in mid lane against Zillion. That is going to be a very difficult matchup now for Reginald to win.
So Reginald continuing just to farm up in this mid lane, and we have standard lanes so far this game. Again, Mac Noon heading top with all that Magic Band, looking to do some early trades. He has traded very effectively with Dyrus. Dyrus has already burned 2 health pots, and Mac Noon looks like he's burned a couple as well.
Yeah, so Dyrus just going back and forth with Mac Noon. As you mentioned, Rumble having a little bit of an HP disadvantage in those trades. Early on, Malphite is, of course, going to have that passive shield to give him a little bit of more damage absorption, but still just going back and forth. Malphite with a little bit of a CS advantage against Dyrus's Rumble in top lane. I don't think it's going to last for much longer, though.
Yeah, and again, everything just kind of returning. Looks like Watch is going to go ahead and move actually over for a potential gank right here. He's roaming through Tribrush. There's no ward for Dyrus. We'll have to see if he gets the fear off. Flashes up for Dyrus. Watch is going to back off. Yeah,
Watch is going to just back away here. Dyrus actually overheating. It would have been the perfect time for him to go in. Mac Noon just laying the pan on with the seismic shards and the ground slams as well.
And so we actually have back into this bot lane. Again, Prey going to go ahead and farm up. No big difference in CS right now. Nothing much happening since that early level 1 invade. Odd One simply trying to catch up at this point. He's going to pick up an early Ruby Crystal, probably for a Heart of Gold, and that will actually catch him up from his early game deficit. So it's not going to be like what we saw Dignitas going with Rengar. I will dominate, picking up a couple early Doran's Blades and then rolling from there. Instead, a triage build. Gold for 10 is going to be the name of the game. Odd One now roaming up into top lane, try and put some pressure on Mac Noon. And we have a gank actually in bottom lane currently. We have a gank coming up at top. Odd One sitting in the brush, but there was a ward there. It has seen Odd One, and that's not going to do anything. Mac Noon pulling back and staying back right now. Meantime, Prey putting a lot of pressure onto this bot lane. It's like he actually is even with Chaos in terms of potions right now.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, they're putting a lot of pressure down onto this bottom lane, already pushing it towards the tower. No real shots going down on there, but still, the poke from Ezreal and Sona are going to be harassing down, especially in Chaos, a lot. So that is going to be a lane that we have to keep a little bit of an eye on. Now we have Watch on Nocturne continuing the pressure into Odd1's jungle, coming through, potentially taking out some rates, or maybe just even going around to try to gank on Reginald. Nope, he's going to put a ward down in that brush over here. Wind up taking those rates away and
Song is low, though. Here comes the double bomb. He's going to flash away from the odd one. Ignite is ticking down, and he's going to live with... Oh, he goes down. The last tick of Ignite, finishing off his 8 HP, and that is exactly what TSM was talking about coming into this game.
And that is a crucial kill for Reginald. Not only is it going to relieve pressure on that mid lane, it donates a blue buff over to him, and with the heavy counter juggling being done on Odd1, when that blue buff comes up in about a minute and 15 seconds, Odd1's going to be able to take it for himself, get that extra experience bonus, and get himself right back into the game.
Health crystals all around for TSM. Looks like they're just insistent on staying in lanes this game.
Yeah, top lane, McNoon and Dyrus. Now, like I said, a little bit later on in the laning phase, Dyrus starting to get that a little bit of the advantage over McNoon. You mentioned the Ruby Crystals being acquired for a lot more effective HP in these trades. Dyrus just winning out, now drawing the attention of Watch in the top lane, but very wisely putting a ward down, knows that he's coming, and going to deter any sort of shenanigans coming out from Nocturne.
Right, but the Malphite pick, as we were talking about, was really a response to Rengar, and I don't think Najin Sword knew. And there's the equalizer, just tapping McNoon to prevent him from going back and clearing out that minion wave.
Yeah, so Dyrus just trying to keep as much pressure and keep that advantage, wants to farm as much of the wave as possible, get a little bit of tower damage down because he knows McNoon going back. He has acquired a little bit extra gold in that lane earlier on, so he is going to be able to pick up a Chalice of Harmony to go against the magic damage. Dyrus going to want to try to push back that lane a little bit to recall and buy up as his own.
So Reginald going for a Catalyst and Rod of Ages, you know, if you can get an early kill on Zilean, and here comes Requiem.
Going to wind up sniping down Chaos in that bottom lane. Took a little bit of that poke harass down from Ezreal and Sona. Like I mentioned before, it's going to have to be a point of contention from Najim's sword, because if they get one of them low enough, that omnipresent card is just going to snipe someone down like we saw.
So the thing about Zilean is, as I was about to say, is that if you get an early Catalyst on him, he becomes an extraordinary lane bully simply because of his sustain in lane and the fact that he can just continually double bomb you. So it is, I think, a later Catalyst than he would have wanted, but it's still going to come relatively early. And here comes Odd1. He's been sped up. He's on the hunt. He's going to dive. And there goes Song. What a play. Odd1, will he get out of the turret? No, lay waste, but the Reginald's ult is going to save him. Watch able to do nothing.
And that is one of those plays that you only see in those trolly solo queue games. You have an invisible member of your team, you put the Zilean bomb on him, you speed him up and jump into the enemy team. It is an absolute troll play, but look at how effective it is against Najim's sword. That was just a brilliant execution. Odd1 knowing that even if he tanked all the tower shots, the Chrono Shift coming up from Zilean, sorry, I almost said Ezreal. Zilean was going to keep him alive and keep him safe, and what a play by TSM.
And waiting for that Chrono Shift until the last possible second. He didn't know if Odd was going to be able to make it out or not, but he still managed to save it with him. And now we have a play onto Prey in bottom lane, especially in Chaos doing huge damage, but the Ignite going down, Kane is going to save him with a Sona heal.
Yeah, and even though it's not early level 1 pressure like I would have liked to see from TSM, they are still being so much more aggressive against Najim's sword in this game than they have been in game number 1, and it is paying off in spades. Dyrus using that equalizer, not being afraid to use it to farm as well as harass down on McNoon, keep up his CS lead, 49-44 against Malphite, and TSM, they are really changed a little bit in this game.
Oh, Tom. That was a really bad play from Frey. Bit of a miscommunication. He actually arcane shifted into X-Special and got immediately dazzled and hit with the Shatter Aura and P-bombed and just melted.
So that burst potential, that Corki Taraklin, we talked about it a lot in game number 1, finally seeing it come to fruition in game 2 here. TSM 3 kills to 2 against Najim's sword, but even though they're ahead in kills, they gave up first blood, so Sword keeping the pace with farm and in all those lanes, still with a slight couple hundred gold advantage.
Yeah, Odd1 still prowling the jungle. Rumble looking like he wants that early haunting, guys. McNoon already picking up the Chalice of Harmony, so he's going to be looking to stay in lane, keep on throwing down those seismic shards and ground slams.
We got to look out. Odd1 once again going invisible in the mid lane. Is Reginald going to put the bomb on him? Are they going to have the Chrono Shift up as well? Reggie speeds himself up, flashes forward, but Song going to flash in response. Odd1 gets very low, but that Chrono Shift is on him. He's going to revive, but in a bad spot between 2 towers. Watch going to come in the meantime, gets the Paradigm Paranoid down on Reginald. No ultimate available. That is going to be a kill on Reggie.
I think Song got wise to their tricks after falling to it once. Odd One in trouble with the wall of pain. Here comes Watch. He's got his shield up, going to block that Mystic shot. But here comes the Fear Tether. Will he actually pull this off on Odd One? And yes, he will. That is the Watch that we're used to seeing responding extremely well with the Paranoia from Nocturne, one of his most played champions.
And now we have 4 members of Najin Sword grouped up around the middle lane, taking out 2 members of TSM. Numbers advantage means they're going to go to contest this Dragon. They have Smite available on Watch's Nocturne. They have Karthus to shred down those global objectives like nothing. And they take a first Dragon of the game 10.5 minutes in.
And that's all going to come off the mistake that we saw TSM make, going a little bit too deep. And that'll be Song farming up the Wraiths of TSM. They are now up 2.6k gold as we head into the 11-minute mark.
And TSM, with that early headstrong aggression, got themselves to a little bit of a kill advantage. Gold counts are all but equal, but being a little bit too overzealous at that mid play, going for the Rengar ultimate and Zillion bomb combo with the flash up on Karthus. It did not work out for them in that amount. And now the completely turnaround from Najin Sword. McNoon, though, taking a lot of the pain damage from Dyrus in top lane, dropping to about half HP as Dyrus overheats and not able to keep the chase up in that one.
Yeah, and as we see Karthus right now, Song a little bit ahead in terms of CS, down in kills, but up in assists. So the gold so far, Song at 3,600, Zillion at 3,200. So a subtle difference right now for Song, but he's going to be a lot more effective in late game. After a certain point, Zillion kind of turns more into a utility machine. They have to get an advantage early with this Rengar and Zillion pick, because if they don't, they're simply going to be outclassed by Najin Sword's team comp in the late game.
Watch, we did see coming around potentially for a gank on Dyrus top lane. Has an Oracle's Elixir, knew there were no wards, but decided to really just turn around on that one. McNoon, in the meantime, going back, picking up the Sorcerer shoes. He has been known to play Malphite in that very bursty kind of style. You did talk about that yesterday in the games before with Najim Sword, where he likes to go for Deathfire Grass, play him like an Evelyn, play him like an assassin, just run in behind enemy lines, use that Unstoppable Force to just absolutely melt enemy teams.
Yeah, his spell pen sitting up at 35 right now after picking up those Sorc shoes and getting 15 off of runes, so he's doing quite well.
We saw Reginald in the meantime trying to get something happen on the bottom lane. Odd One is also waiting over by the tower to try to come in through the lane, but McNoon surprisingly comes down into the bottom lane. Not sure if they read this play or what, but he is in position for this. Reggie in the meantime decides to go back on this. I don't actually think TSM's been able to see Malphite down here, as Odd One is actually going to wind up turning around a little bit. Nope, coming back into that bottom lane. It's just going to be a little bit awkward here for a little bit as they both dance back and forth trying to gank each other.
TSM has a ward deep in the lane, though, so they are going to see if McNoon comes in. He's going to have to flash ult if he's going to do anything at all here, and instead he's just going to blue pill. Opportunity's not there.
Yeah, but Odd One wasting a little bit of time, still milling around on this bottom lane. Now that McNoon's gone, they could potentially see Odd One going in for a gank, but still just waiting and waiting patiently for this one. Both teams have forward wards in those brushes, though, so if any shenanigans happen, like you said, it's going to be spotted immediately.
Meantime, Dyrus is getting a relatively significant farm advantage simply by sitting up in that top lane while McNoon goes to gank MIA, excuse me, on the map. Song continuing his farming spree, up about 20 CS himself right now.
Uh-oh, Requiem coming out from Karthus as well. Dyrus getting engaged on by Watch. McNoon a little bit too far away from that one, though. Paranoia has been popped. It looks like Watch is going to try to stick to Dyrus. Flash forward in the tower range is going to wind up netting himself a kill there, and Dyrus not able to respond in time.
McNoon also had very little, if anything, to do with that fight, so purely...
Bottom lane, though, Odd One finally making his move, going into Kane, but a great crescendo across all 3 members of TSM. Gonna stop the aggression, but Prey in a bad spot, gets dazzled, the flash forward from Chaos, not able to pick up the kill with the Corky Rockets, and that is gonna be a nice escape from Sword in bot lane.
You know, I kind of feel like Najin Sword is pretending to be Bizarro TSM right now. Of course, that Nocturne Karthus combo, something that TSM has relied on so heavily in the past and being used against them extraordinarily effectively.
Yeah, so TSM going to have to switch something up in order to try to get themselves back into this one. Down almost 3,000 gold. Once again, this is just like game number 1, Monty. They were down about 3,000 gold the entire time. Got to that mid-game area where they thought they were going to be stronger by picking up a Trinity Force very, very quickly on Corky. Unfortunately, they're going to be matched pace for pace with Ezreal this game. He is still going to have that attack speed debuff on his Essence Plus as well. So TSM, they got to make something happen a little bit quicker. Otherwise, they might not have the same kind of strong team fight they want.
And Song now chasing Reggie down with lay waste. He's going to use the Chrono Shift on himself, but drop under the turret. Song popped Exhaust on him to just kite him a little bit better down the lane, and he'll have to... Looks like he's going to stick around his Chrono Shift, giving him enough HP, and he flashes. he flashes accidentally into some creeps. So that's going to be flash down for Reginald.
That's not Q, Reggie. That's F. So he's not going to wind up having the flash up for another team, but they're going to play a little bit more conservatively now. So McNoon, in the meantime, came down from top to try to make something happen in mid lane. However, Odd1 and Dyrus were also waiting in the wings for Reggie to revive from that chrono shift. They are, however, going to get this blue steal off Dyrus, not being able to take that one away with the equalizer. And that is actually going to go down onto Watch. So now they have both blue buffs on the side of Najim's sword. Oracle's Elixir to continue to press their advantage through vision, and we're going to potentially see once actually going for a BF sword on Ezreal rather than going for the Trinity Force. So once that Bloodthirst is probably finished on the side of Prey, we could see them grouping up for once again more forward pushing presence. Yeah,
Najin's sword just doing a great job of controlling TSM. So you know, Song has been back at his own turret for most of this game, and that's really protected him from the Rengar and Zillion play for the most part. He did die that one time, but managed to pick up a couple kills in the second wave of those attacks. You can see he's just freezing, trying to get his own wraiths, and staying back while Reginald plants bombs and pushes very, very aggressively.
Yeah, taking a quick look at the gold counts now, almost a 2,000 gold advantage in favor of Watch over the Odd1. That Oracle's Elixir paying off in spades, whereas Odd1, with the early disadvantage from his jungle being stolen away, the early level 1 invade from Najim's sword, not being able to keep pace, having to go for, you know, gold per 10 items, go for the Bone Tooth necklace actually, which hasn't paid off for him. Only 0, 1, and 1 acquired for Rengar at this point in time. He just doesn't have the gold or the income to pick up that Oracle's Elixir and do the same thing that Najim's sword is doing to TSM.
Yeah, and let's talk about the difference right now between what we were seeing Dominate play with Rengar as on Dignitas versus what we're seeing right now, TSM the Odd1.
Paranoia popping that top lane as well as Unstoppable Force. That is a Wombo combo. Dyrus going down with Requiem as well, and McNoon not taking more than one tower shot, gets away scot-free.
Meantime, TSM is going to get a free dragon, but it will come at the expense of the first turret going down in this game. So it looks like we're going to have the same lead pretty much for Najin's sword, about 4,000 gold.
Yeah, you pick up a kill, you pick up a tower. It's relatively an even trade with that dragon acquired. Still about a 4,000 gold advantage in favor of Najim's sword. 6 kills to 3, and like you mentioned, first tower going down. I'd say pretty late considering the two teams that are playing right now.
So I was going to go back and say Dominate picked up those couple early Doran's Blades, and then Aegis of the Legion, some trades going down on that bot lane. Now we see Odd1 picking up the Heart of Gold and Bone Tooth necklace, so he's looking to try and get some basically stacks on that necklace, whereas we saw Dominate going aggressive early, but then kind of moving into a more utility support role with the aura items later. So kind of a difference in philosophy here. Odd1 just trying to snowball with the gold per 10 and also get some of those kills to become a true invisible monster and jumping on the carries.
Speaking of being an invisible monster, he's now acquired his own Oracle's Elixir, deciding to go in with his ultimate, jumping down on the Kane. Sona having to pop the flash. Crescendo across all 3 members once again. True Shot Barrage being dodged by a nice Valkyrie there from Chaos. Odd1 just leaping brushes onto Kane, will acquire the kill, but here comes Watch coming in. Oracle's Elixir has been activated on him. Odd1 saving it for after the gank, though, is not going to wind up being a risk at losing that one. Reggie comes down from mid lane, trying to get the damage on the Prey, puts the double bomb down. McDoom comes in from top lane, though, as well as Song. Reggie secures a kill on Prey, pops a chrono shit down on himself. Sword trying to play patient, but they're not going to wait at that cooldown. They are going to wind up picking up a kill on Reggie, but he revives from chrono shift. Now it's going to be a dive with that Unstoppable Force. It has been acquired now by McDoom. It's off cooldown. Now they're going to have to be very careful with this one. Dyrus trying to make his way all the way down from top lane, but Najim's sword going to take a tower as TSM wisely backs off from that fight.
Yeah, especially Requiem just came back up, so if there was any kind of dive on there, the cleanup by Song probably would have been quite hefty. You can see actually Song's picked up an early Athene's Unholy Grail. Interesting, he's going to get that to try and prevent some of the double bomb damage that he was receiving, and now going for a later Rod of Ages. A lot of sustain there with the mana regeneration coming off of Catalyst and Athene's.
Yeah, and you can't really knock him for getting the early Athene's and Holy Grail for the double AP composition. Song, though, going to face check a brush and finds a wild Dyrus. Paranoia coming back up from Watcher. This is going to go in. There's the equalizer. Bombs being dropped down onto Song. Is he going to fall from this? I don't think Reggie has the AP yet. Is going to survive, but Reggie speeds himself up, going on a suicide mission. Flashes into McNoon! That is going to be Unstoppable Force as Kane winds up picking up the kill. Reggie not even netting the kill on Karthus. Odd1 now in a bad spot as he's being chased down and constantly slowed by all of Najim's sword, and they're going to come out of this one in a 1-for-0 trade.
And you know, Tom, TSM has the right idea with this composition, but it doesn't seem like they're quite masters of it yet. They don't really understand the limits of what Zilean and Rengar can do, either independently or together. So I think it's something that we might see TSM developing here, and this is the first time I've seen it, at least from TSM at a LAN.
Yeah, now TSM, they're going to have to, like you said, they're going to have to adjust just a little bit. Down 7 kills to 5, down still about 4.5k gold. It's slowly but surely increasing in favor of Najin Sword, but TSM is doing something right with their lanes, with their farm, still kind of keeping neck and neck with this gold pace, even though they're losing out on trades and losing out on kills. The blue buff is going to be donated over to Song here. Watch, still with the Oracle's Elixir required. Taking a look at Odd One, you know, he had acquired one earlier, still has it on him for now. Hasn't been able to really get a lot of stacks on that Bone Tooth necklace. In that previous engagement, though, has been able to acquire 2 stacks for him. So hopefully at some point, Odd One's going to be able to dish out the damage he needs to. Are we going to see some sort of shift? He does have a Null Magic Mantle being acquired after already getting Ninja Tabby. So I can't help but think that, like you said, going for a little bit more of an I will dominate style, he's going to wind up picking up an Aegis and go for a little more utility. Yeah,
but unfortunately for TSM, Watch already picking up the Aegis of the Legion, and that's going to be a very powerful item in upcoming team fights, especially with some of the AoE damage coming out of Rumble and Zilean.
So TSM, like we said, they wanted to go for team fights in the middle stage of the game last time around. Might be going for a little bit more of a, it's kind of hard to tell actually. Like you mentioned, Zilean falls off a little bit more, but Rumble only going to get stronger and stronger with those items. They have the double AP composition. Rumble has not acquired that Abyssal Scepter. When he gets that, Corki with his Trinity Force and Reginald being able to put down the double bomb, that might be a little bit of a timing area we're going to see TSM try to engage. If Odd One is able to get that Aegis in enough time, we could see them actually coming out on top of that one. But for now, Najin Sword still has a bit stronger team fight presence.
Yeah, you can see Prey actually using his Essence Flux there to pick off the Wraith that was being farmed by TSM. So a little bit of a cheeky move there, as D-Man would say.
You're channeling your inner British there.
I am.
Are you going to start reciting Shakespeare too? I heard on Twitter you were going to do that.
Not this time, Tom. Not this time.
Oh, man, I'm really disappointed. But regardless of the fact, TSM here, like I mentioned before, Reginald going back, they picked up, he has his Rod of Ages, picked up a Chalice of Harmony, going for that Athene's and Holy Grail. Probably going to go for a little bit more sustain. And as you mentioned earlier, I don't know if that's quite what they want to do. It is still confusing with the Rumble pick because he is, like I said, going to get stronger as he acquires a bit more of those items. Abyssal Scepter now, could be going for a Raleig's Crystal Scepter or a Death Cap after that. But TSM, right now, they're worried about trying to survive Najin Sword getting into a team fight, trying to survive them pushing down 3 towers to 0 and trying to keep them from getting any more global presence on the map.
Yeah, and again, Tom, you mentioned this during Champion Select, but I want to revisit it right now. Kind of all of the eggs are in the Chaos basket, really, and it depends on how fast Chaos can get some more damage, get a Guardian Angel, and how many times he can live thanks to Reginald if this goes to the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, they haven't really grouped up to have Chaos with that Chrono Shift on it. They've been using it for that little bit of a sneaky move with Odd One on Rengar, as well as using it on Zilean. Speaking of, Odd One's going to go in there. Crescendo goes across the other side, though. Reginald's going to melt instantly from that. Rumble Ultimate goes down. The Unstoppable Force did knock up most of TSM. MacNoon's going to take down Chaos. No Reggie available for that at all. Dyrus is going to fall to Kane. Nocturne's actually going to pick up a kill on Dyrus, and that is a double kill being acquired by MacNoon. That is an absolute ace on the side of Najin Sword, and only Sona goes down in exchange.
And here comes Baron. They do have MacNoon almost at full health. Ezreal and Karthus also still alive, so that'll be a very fast Baron here at the 23.5-minute mark. Easy for them to do with these champions.
Just to add insult to injury, Odd One's Oracle's Elixir goes down in that. They lose out in a giant team fight, all 5 members down. They lose the Baron buff. No Oracle's Elixir required. They're not even going to be able to kind of come back and take an objective or clear out map presence because of that one. So now Najin Sword 12 kills to 6. 37k to 28.7k gold event. Still only 3 towers to 0, but now this is what happened last game against TSM. They took such a lead at the point in time we thought TSM wanted to fight, and they just couldn't come back from it.
Yeah, and again, now they're facing down an 8,000 gold differential. That's going to be extremely difficult to overcome at this stage in the game, especially with the team comp they've selected. You know, Song is really starting to snowball here with the 208 CS, the 3-2-7 score. Not to mention Watch. Man, is that guy good at Nocturne.
Not to mention the fact that he has about a a 2.5k gold advantage over the odd one on Rengar. Taking a quick look at the gold counts as this Dragon's being acquired, now about a 1 to 1.5k gold advantage across the board in favor of Najin's sword. McNoon in the top lane taking a bit of harass from Dyrus. He did overheat on this one, but saves the equalizer. McNoon now getting jumped on by Odd One from the brush. Is he going to go down here? Uses the unstoppable force to escape. Baron buff healing him up as he ticks away with that HP regen, and he gets out of a gank.
Yeah, had to use both his flash and the unstoppable force, but managed to live. I want to point out real quickly that Reggie right now, 6,600 gold for Zillion, Song 9,200 gold on Karthus. That is a devastating
True shot barrage
difference.
and Crescendo go off in mid lane, able to dodge that one. Dyrus is going to take the top turret in the meantime. Special getting a little bit of pain down on him, but Song also going to take a brunt of the damage. Requiem goes off from Karthus. Reginald is actually going to live, but he takes down Chaos in the meantime. Paranoia pops from Nocturne. Is going to want to chase down on Tarek, but in the meantime, Reggie's in a bad spot, gets chased down by Ezreal, and that is just Najim's sword continuing to meticulously pick apart TSM.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually surgical on the part of Najin's sword, and there's the surrender at 25 minutes. Najin's sword 2-0, TSM 0-9 against Korean teams.
And I don't know what it is in Korea. Maybe it's the kimchi